And away from that, the environment is critical to the development of a nation, with the degradation of the ozone layer and the government effort in cushioning the effect with the recent COP28 summit held in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. The COP28 UN Climate Change Conference was the biggest of its kind. 75,000 participants, including more than 150 heads of state and government, were among the representatives of national delegations, civil society, business, indigenous peoples, youth, philanthropy, and international organizations in attendance at the conference. This includes a call on governments to speed up the transition away from fossil fuels to renewables, such as wind and solar power, in their next round of climate commitments. And what has been the achievement of the Federal Ministry of Environment since the inauguration of ministers in the last 5 months, and what really are the plans for the new year 2024? Minister of State for Environment in Nigeria, Iziaq Salako, joins me on the program from Abuja. Thank you for joining us on the program. And condolence messages are already pouring in for the victims of the explosion. Let's begin with that. What is your message to the people and government of your state?
Thank you very much. Just to reiterate the message of the President of the country, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has commiserated with the people of Oyo State and the government, and who has also directed that the Emergency Response Agency of the federal government should cooperate with Oyo State government to bring relief and succor to the people. But beyond that, we also must send message to Nigerians generally. It is now coming out that neighbors of those residents in that house where the explosive was stored were aware ab initio that explosives were being stored in that place. One of the civic duty that we have to do as Nigerians is to report and insist with law enforcement agencies and authorities that such things which constitute dangers to our well-being are brought timely to the notice of the authorities, because I believe that perhaps if this has been brought timely to the notice of the authorities, what has happened may have been prevented. So my condolences and sympathies to those who lost their life and the families, and those who were injured and who lost their properties.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And we actually did hear that, residents actually reported to the police authorities, but after they were arrested on 2 different occasions, they never really desisted from keeping those. But let's get into the meat of the matter. It's been 5 months since you assumed office as minister. How has it been? Did what you met on ground actually meet your expectations?
One of the key things that we met on ground, and some of the projects that the previous administration started as a government, we had continued. For example, the project with respect to the restoration of the degraded and polluted land in Ogboni land, we have continued to pursue that. The projects with respect to some of our climate actions, ensuring that we take measures to mitigate the effect of climate change in terms of fighting erosion, fighting flooding, in terms of ensuring that we promote nature-based solutions, planting trees through some of our agencies and our Department of Forestry, in terms of the activities of issuing environmental and social impact assessments, in terms of our enforcement agents, which is the Environment Police, the NESRA, in terms of the monitoring of oil spills, and so on and so forth. We have since continued when we came into office. However, one major thing that we saw was that the level of awareness and environmental responsibility was not optimal. And therefore, we have decided to prioritize that as part of the things that we're going to be pursuing as a government, because we realize that what we call environmental challenges, climate change, is caused by mass action, the activities of human beings. And except we take actions on a massive scale too, we may not be able to mitigate the effects and prevent some of the harmful effects of climate change. So we have resolved that we need to scale up our environmental awareness activities to promote environmental citizenship and responsibility from our people.
What has happened in 5 months, but what would you say has actually been the high point for you, the very highlight?
Well, I think that majorly Nigeria has continued to participate in international conferences. We were part of the climate conference in Nairobi, where the whole of Africa was able to sit down together to take a decision as a continent on how we are going to be approaching and how we are going to be interfacing with the rest of the world with respect to environmental issues. We participated also on the United Nations General Assembly, and of course, we've also spoken about hunger. Apart from that, domestically, some of our projects, the reclamation project that we're doing at Ogoni Land, we have commissioned some of the water projects in Ogoni Land to ensure that we provide water for the people. We have also done projects in terms of trying to control erosion in a few parts of the country and also flooding. Our ministry also have set in motion a mechanism to develop a strategic roadmap that is going to take us from between now to 2027. So those are clearly the highlights of the last 5 months in the environmental ministry.
I really do hope we'll be able to talk some more about erosion and the situation in Ogoni. But first, let's talk about COP28, which your ministry actively participated in 2023. Very huge ambition to transition away from fossil fuels. What is the federal government's plan in this regard?
Well, even before we went for COP, we had realized that Nigeria could no longer be solely dependent on petroleum. And you will recall that one of the key priority agenda of Mr. President is to reform the economy and to diversify the economic base of Nigeria away from sole dependence on fossil fuel. And that is why Nigerian government is now focusing a lot on agriculture. We are focusing a lot on mining sector. Also, we're focusing on digital economy, creative economy. Those are areas that we believe that if we properly explored, they can be a good replacement to our dependence on fossil fuel and pushing our economy through crude oil. We have also taken measures to be part of some global body called Beyond Oil and Gas, in which case Nigeria is trying to assess best practices from all over the world of countries who have been able to transit from dependence on petroleum to dependence on other sources of generating revenue for their economy. So we're pursuing that. So you see clearly that the government is investing a lot of resources and a lot of energy. All the alternatives, like I said, agriculture, mining, digital economy, culture, arts promotion, so that we can have other alternatives. And of course, we're doing a lot with our gas to ensure that the natural resources of gas that is gifted to Nigeria is also optimally utilized to grow the economy of the country.
Indeed, and there are those who would actually ask about, what Nigeria takes to the table. I'm talking about, the decision to agree with the agreements at, these conferences, and the fact that Nigeria at the moment is not doing too excellently, regarding the economy. It's not peculiar to the country, but of course we are feeling the brunt. So how do we benefit from these agreements that we actually reach?
You know that when we talk about global conferences like the COP28, what generally happens is that an aggregation of national interests is put together to achieve a balance where everybody's interest is accommodated to some extent. Not 100%. Nobody can have his interest accommodated 100% in a global conference like COP. Nigeria's interest is also accommodated in terms of trying to drive more investment and in terms of also driving transfer of technology that can help us grow our economy, that can also help us diversify from the full dependence that we currently have on petroleum. In addition to that, we have also been able to establish some linkages, some bilateral arrangements that we can also leverage on to grow some of the things. For example, you recall that during COP28, Nigeria signed an agreement with Germany, which we are going to be supported in trying to up our electricity generating potentials and be able to get more energy to drive the economy of Nigeria. You also recall that at that COP28, there was the rollout of electric vehicles. We're also able to establish partnership in trying to activate our carbon markets so that we can also generate some level of financing from carbon credits. So all are some of the things. Of course, we also launched what is called the Nature Ministerial Alliance for Nature Finance, which Nigeria which Nigeria was promoting, and this is also going to help us to access funding to finance some of our nature-based solutions like mangrove restoration, like forest restoration, nature-based solutions generally. So those are some of the take-back from COP28 that we were able to establish.
All right, and talking about the electric vehicles, are they operational already?
Can you let me have that again?
The electric vehicles, are they in operation already?
The electric vehicle scheme does not fall under the Ministry of Environment, so I may not be able to give you a very clear answer. The Ministry of Transport is responsible for that. Well, I believe that as soon as it becomes operational, the whole of Nigeria will get to know about it.
All right, let's talk about what concerns your ministry. A new year is here. What's your ministry's agenda for 2024?
The agenda of the Federal Ministry of Environment has been set by Mr. President. You know that when the president was elected, a few months after, the president came out, after his inauguration, he came out with his 8 priority and focus areas, what is called the presidential priority and focus areas, 8 of them. At the end of that, the president also set up a mechanism that was able to engage with MDAs, ministry, departments, and agencies to ensure that those priority areas are cascaded to those ministry, departments, and agencies, and to also establish, take the inputs of those ministries into the priority areas. Last year in November, we had the presidential retreat where there was robust discussion around those priority areas. And at the end of that retreat, ministries, departments, and agents of government were able to come out with clear priority areas that are relevant to their mandates and deliverables with key targets. For the Federal Ministry of Environment, at the end of that retreat, we were able to come up with 5 key priority areas in terms of promoting national security, food security, sustainability, in terms of industrialization, and also in terms of governance issues. So from those 5 key priority areas, we were able to come out with 18 deliverables and 48 key performance indicators that is going to drive the agenda of the Ministry of Environment between now and 2027. And some of those key priority areas are deliverables, for example, in terms of restoring our land. We have the mandate to, in 2024, for example, to ensure that we provide at least 6.5 million tree seedlings and plant at least 6 million seeds. We have the expectation to ensure that we generate at least 100,000 jobs, to also ensure the security of our forests. You know that Mr. President has also been talking about that with a special force that is planning to bring out to secure our forests where there are a lot of bandits, a lot of insurgents, and also secure our coastal areas and our mining fields. Also, we have mandates with respect to restoration of degraded lands, in Ogboni and other areas in the Niger Delta where there's heavy pollution due to mining activities. So we also have responsibility with respect to issuing environmental impact and environmental impact and social assessment. We have responsibility with monitoring pollutions and so on and so forth. So those forms the key fulcrum of our priorities in 2024. And we are working in that direction to ensure that we are able to deliver, because at the end of every quarter, each ministry's department and agency is going to be assessed by the delivery unit, and we're hoping that working very hard to ensure that we meet up to target and even deliver beyond expectation of what has been given to us.
Honorable Minister, some states in Nigeria have actually witnessed the first rains. That tells us that the rainy season is, just by the corner. And from that first rain in some of the states, you can already tell, what the people experienced. What is your ministry doing to manage flooding in 2024?
Well, first let me say that the challenge of climate change means that we may be experiencing extreme weather conditions for some time to come. So we're likely to be witnessing challenges of flooding, challenges of erosion, challenges of desert encroachment, and so on and so forth, because clearly our climate has changed. So our approach are multi-pronged. First, in terms of adapting our people to be able to cope with the challenge of the change in our climate. And of course, to also ensure that we are able to prevent those extreme weather conditions causing havoc to the people. So you see that in the 2024 budget that we have just been recently signed by Mr. President, we have a lot of projects to particularly address key areas that have experienced a significant flooding in the last rainy season. In partnership, of course, with other ministries like the Ministry of Water Resources that has a mandate to deal with dams, also with the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs that has mandate to provide succor. And for us, we are working to ensure that some of our drains, the secondary drains, are opened up. We're working to enhance our capacity for early warning signals so that we can have very early warning when there are going to be extreme weather conditions, and we can then respond very quickly to ensure that no life is lost as a result of such things. So we're also, of course, working in terms of nature-based solutions to address some of our erosion sites, heavy erosion sites, where we go there to ensure that we plant trees to prevent those erosion, and then, of course, more importantly, increasing awareness on how to ensure that our people are more environmentally responsible.
All right, then. Thank you very much for giving us that update. Nigerians would be watching to see how interventions actually come in so that at least we could talk about prevention and not necessarily trying to kill, when the deed has been done. Minister of State for the Environment, Iziaq Salako, thank you very much for joining us on the program, and all the best in the days ahead.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's our show for today. What to repeat broadcast at midnight and at 6 a.m. I am Abosedi Adeniwa Duremi.